Well, hello, everyone. And I hope it's everyone because last night we had no one. Hopefully, tonight we'll have someone. Oh, well, we didn't have no one. We had Kevin from across the world, but on the same side, opposite side of the world, same side of the issues. And we also had, who else joined us later on? I can't remember now. But anyway, it's showing two, which was good because that's what we had yesterday. Hi, Kevin, from the other side of the world, same side of the issues. Good to have you. Thanks for sticking with me. And yesterday we had such Oh, we had Maisie last night. She came in the last 10 minutes. But boy, oh boy, last night we were banned basically. Nobody could find us anywhere. Right. So it was me and Kev, and we talked and we solved the world's problems. And now that you're here, we'll let you in on what we did, right, Kev? Um, we figured it all out. And yeah, so good to have you. Good to have you, Francine. I couldn't find the show last night. Yeah, interesting. Um, I don't know what happened. I'm flabbergasted. I have no idea. Hi, Corey. Good to have you. Yeah, once again, the socialists, Roy Neville Singham and his friend, or Neville Roy Singham and his socialist friends, they managed to get rid of us off the algorithm. But that's okay. We're going to talk about them again today. That's the beauty of this show. That I don't stop. Okay. I don't care who tries to screw with us. I don't stop. So tonight we're going to decode El Sayed, Abdul El Sayed, who was called, the race in Michigan was called today. So he is now the Democrat nominee for the Senate, and from Michigan. And he's going up against Mike Rogers. And I got to tell you, Mike Rogers seems to have the edge in the race, but I don't know how long that's going to last. We'll see. Um, the thing is that that seat was held by a Democrat. So if the Democrats hold it, it's inconsequential. If the Republicans grab it, that's going to make the Democrats' job harder. I think they need four Republican seats to flip in order for them to gain control of the Senate. Not an easy task. Hello, Angela Ricca. How are you? Hello, Andrew Dorman. Good to have you. Hello, Karen. Oh, yes, watching and thoroughly disgusted from Michigan. Yeah, so it's interesting what Michiganders are, what their options are. But they can really, I mean, that the power of the Senate could really be in your hands, Karen. It could be in your hands, on the hands of your neighbors. So I hope Republicans are taking this seriously in Michigan. Not just Republicans, independents too. Very important that the independents get out to vote because the stuff that Syed and his friends are talking about, they sound interesting, but I don't know that it's really what Americans are facing, especially even young Americans who are following him around like puppy dogs, but they're very easily, they're impressionable, these young Americans, these Americans under 30. And oh, by the way, the people who voted for him yesterday in the primary, wealthy, highly educated, and new immigrants. Not middle class, not blue collar. Hi, Lucille. Good to have you. Hi, Gary. Yes, before we get too far into the show, I want to take a minute and thank you, Angela, for letting me know. Jennifer also let me know last night that our friend Scott Lebedo suffered a heart attack and is in the hospital. So we should pray for him. The son of a bitch drinks martinis and smokes Marlboros like he was going to the chair. And apparently, from eyewitnesses who are friends of mine, he was headed to go yell at Mayor Mamdani. And he got himself, I guess, so crazy, he had a heart attack. He had a heart attack. And the our Jewish friends who had ambulances, were there because it was National Night Out last night. So, if you know what National Night Out is where all the police and the fire and first responders, and they all get together with the community and they interact with one another. So our friend Ari had his ambulance there, and he got the paddles out and he shocked Scott back into life. So say a prayer for the best patriot I know, Scott Lebedo, whose goal it is to paint an American flag on every single public school building in America, and he's partway there. Yeah, so please, prayers for Scott Lebedo. I know he's going to be okay because I can't even imagine a world without Scott Lebedo. But I don't know this. I have no inside information, but I'm sure that they're going to have to, because I know him. I'm sure they're going to have to do some work on him, and I hope that he stops or at least cuts down on the smoking. I'm not going to say anything about the drinking, but at least cuts down on the smoking. It's the smoking. Every time you look at him, he's got a cigarette in his hand, and that stuff that listen, former smoker here. I just know that the tar in the lungs is not a great thing. All the rest of this stuff, I don't give a shit. But the tar in the lungs, even with pot, I can't believe that we're applauding. We worked so hard to get kids to stop smoking, which, by the way, teenage smoking is now up again because we got rid of the vapes, because the tobacco companies decided that the vapes, they put out propaganda that the vapes could hurt you worse than tobacco, which was untrue. So we got teenage smoking down to almost zero, and now it's on the rise again. And smoking is on the rise again. Because, you know why? Because smoking marijuana is on the rise again. And I don't get it. I mean, you want to get high? Use the vape. I mean, they have had marijuana vapes forever. But why do you got to have all that tar in your lungs? I mean, it's like sitting in front of a fireplace and, breathing that stuff in. My prayers and best wishes for Scott. Yeah, thank you. All right, so let's get back to Abdul El Sayed, who, by the way, in case you didn't know it, he's complaining that big corporations spent $70 million, against him. Those were the PAC money against him because they didn't want him there, and he's bragging that he beat them. But I just want you to know, he put $3 million of his own money, $3 million of his own money into buying advertising early on. $3 million of his own money. So he's not one of us, because I don't know maybe I have 2 or 3 friends that could write a check for $3 million, but they do not purport to be a blue collar one of us, kind of, not a teachers union or car automotive union, which El Sayed wants us all to believe he is. I heard on Fox that a majority of African American Black people did not vote for him. I found that interesting. Yeah, well, you guys didn't see the show yesterday. All right, I'll do a recap of the show yesterday. I showed the stats on DSA, their own stats. It was from them. All right, they did a survey, and only 4% of the people who belong to DSA or consider themselves socialists are Black. 85% are white. 85%. 5% are Hispanic. 4% are Black. 90% earn 6 figures and higher. 80% are educated, have a degree. Of the 80%, 60% have a master's degree. The unions that they work in government, they work in nonprofits, they work in political organizations, they work in education. So college professors, such. So the unions that they discuss when they talk about, we're for the unions and the working people, they're talking the unions that they belong to are white collar unions. Okay, so they make six figures. They are not poor people. So when they are trying to say, "I feel your pain," it's BS. El Sayed claims not to be a Democrat Socialist of America or even a socialist, but we know that everything he says sounds like socialism. Um, in other words, they don't hold a real job. That's right. In other words, they don't know what it is to get their hands dirty. And his speech today, I don't know if anybody heard it. It was long. It was about 12 minutes. I cut it down, but I got it down to five, and I put the pertinent stuff in. But his speech today said a lot about him. But I got to tell you something. He's no bullshit. He's very glib. He's a good speaker, and he's good at connecting with people. Surprisingly, UAW backed him. I was in shock about that. But he said that his father was a member of the UAW. So, and a lot of UAW members were out there, and they were working hard. And a lot of those UAW were black. So, interesting. All right, I'm going to play you his speech. Grab a drink. If you smoke, grab a cigarette. And listen to about half of the speech. Watch. Maybe. How about this?
My hope is that our democracy will never be the same. So when Big Pharma and Big Tech, when DTE and Blue Cross come a knocking saying, you know what, this is our democracy and we're going to own it, from here on out we can always point and say, no, this is the people's democracy and we will always own it. I trained to be a doctor, and the single most important moment that makes a clinical encounter is that moment that somebody shares their pain with you, believing that you could do something about it. I don't practice medicine, as has been well documented by all of you. But I hope that I get to practice that part of things. And I've been able to practice it, but it requires people being willing to share their pain with you so that you can do something about it. That is a moment, a piece of vulnerability people give you because they believe that you can actually fix it. It's an investment, sure, in a campaign, but it more is an investment in democracy. I want to speak specifically to an issue that has been focused on in this race. To my Jewish American sisters and brothers, one of the most indelible memories of this campaign will have been the opportunity to break bread with you at Seder, to worship with you at Shul, to be embraced by you. And listening to sisters and brothers who said, you know, I want to join this movement because AIPAC doesn't speak for me. Because I understand that self-determination for one people does not require the quenching of self-determination for another people. That unless all of us are free, none of us are free. I want to tell you the great gift that you've given me. And to all of my sisters and brothers of the Jewish faith, or any faith at all, or no faith at all, I want you to know that my commitment to your safety, my commitment to Jewish safety, is the same commitment that I have to the safety of my own daughters. Because if there is one question of a political philosophy that ought to animate us all, is what would we build, what would we do if we treated all of our kids like they were all of our kids? How would we spend our money? Where would we put our investment? How would we embrace one another? What kind of schools would we build? What kind of health care would we offer? What kind of jobs would we protect? My story in America is about as unlikely as it gets, but for an accident of history that allows my dad to immigrate to Detroit to go to Wayne State University. I was supposed to be a cab driver in Egypt, like my cousins. I would spend a lot of my childhood summers in Egypt. I'd spend them there with a front row seat to what my life should have been. Except for I got to be born in America, where I got vaccinated against diseases that killed an aunt and uncle I never got to meet. They died before their first birthday. I got to go to amazing public schools, an incredible public university. I got my medical education paid for by a public agency at the NIH. That's what America gave me. Now, the crazy thing is I grew up not 20 minutes from here. And in traveling 20 minutes, I traveled a 10-year life expectancy gap. I got to meet kids who never got the opportunities I got, despite the fact that their families had been here far longer than me. I know what America gave me, but I also know what America continues to deny too many of her own children. And a lot of my work in that building right there was about trying to address exactly that. And I kept running up against one thing: the kind of politics that tell us that we cannot invest in those children because we should be sending their money to deny rights to other children abroad. A politics that tells us that the corporations should do what they can and the rest of us do what we must. A politics that tells us that our democracy is there for the taking if you have enough money to take it. And so when the opportunity to run for U.S. Senate came up, I realized that this was a fight not just against Mike Rogers and Donald Trump. It was a fight for the kind of America that can give what I had to all of her children. That is the work in front of us. This country of ours, this America of ours, is more than a flag. It's more than a set of colors. If you're a patriot, then you better fight for an America that is America for all of her kids. That's what this is about. Building a movement to take our democracy back, to serve the people who absolutely deserve the best of what America has to offer them. That's the commitment all of us are making. So whether you voted for me or voted for my opponent or didn't vote at all, we're inviting you to that movement to get money out of politics so we can put money back in pockets and finally guarantee the promise of health care through Medicare for all. And I'm so honored for all of the folks who've already invested, to all the folks who haven't. I cannot wait to meet you, and let's go in November.
Okay, so that's a lot to unpack. Okay. Hi, Pete. Hi, Professor. Good to have you. That's a custom suit he's wearing. Yeah. So, it's a lot to unpack. Let's talk about the ability that he had the ability to spend $3 million of his own money on his campaign. So also let's talk about the fact that he's first generation American, yet his medical education was paid for by NIH. And he was not required to practice in the field of medicine. What's that about? Where did he get $3 million? Because if he was working for NIH with Dr. Fauci, unless he was on Fauci's payroll, he was a government employee. What's going on here? He exploited the American system for political gain. But he wants to take money out of politics and put it back in people's pockets. But I've yet to see a Democrat be able to do that. They claim that things are unaffordable, which they are for lots of people. But that's because of a Democrat. So I want to know how they plan on him saying, I want to make what I got for everyone. Well, how would that be possible? Where would that be possible? And if everybody's exactly the same, then you're not in America. You're nowhere. I mean, if everybody being exactly the same is bringing everybody down, then you're in Venezuela or Cuba or maybe Russia. But in America, we're competitive. That competitive spirit is what brings us to the top of so many things. It's what made Elon Musk and Ben Franklin and so many other innovators so successful. But if everybody's the same, everybody's doing the same thing, if everybody's the same, if we're getting rid of corporations, how does that benefit anybody? And why isn't anybody asking those questions? And why isn't anybody talking about the fact that this guy put $3 million of his own money into his campaign? Where did he get it? Kevin Wall says, after 9/11, I don't understand anything anymore. Let me put this back up. Sorry. Not just the U.S., but around the world, including my country. Agreed. And it got even worse. I mean, the turn of the century, everything changed in the turn of the century. Everything. The computers didn't go haywire, but the people did. Same bullshit school that Mamzadi went to. Absolutely. But thank God, not America. Yeah. Well, he's thanking America by wanting to dismantle it. So the opportunities that he got, because America is a capitalist nation, it is not a democracy, it is a representative republic. He wants to dismantle it. He wants to create a system where everything is level and even. That's not America. That's nowhere. Unless it's less than. And even then, it's nowhere, because there's always got to be somebody making the decisions about what everybody gets to have, right? Just doesn't work that way. Just doesn't magically appear. Somebody's got to manage it. So I just wanted to, I want to share the screen. I've got a lot of things I want you guys to see. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, I hope this is the right one. We're gonna start with this and we'll move over. Nope, that's the wrong one. Okay. Okay, we want this one. Let's share that screen. Okay. So I asked Google, because they keep on talking about Medicare for all, how much debt, how much medical debt young people age 40 and younger carry, because these are the people that are attracted to socialism. And this is their number one issue, Medicare for all. So approximately 18 to 23% of Americans under age 40 hold medical debt, depending on the exact age bracket, with a median borrowed amount ranging from $300 to $750. That's the medical debt. I'm sorry, what? That's the medical debt. $300 to $750. They're building a whole campaign based on medical debt. I just don't understand. Oh, okay. So, I mean, the younger ones, it's a couple of bucks. How is it that they are, for what reason is it that they are focusing on medical debt? The more interesting thing to me is this next slide. Approximately 25 to 33% of Americans aged 35 and younger hold student loan debt, carrying an average balance. Are you ready? $13,569 to $33,817. That's the debt that these young people are carrying. And here is, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong one. Here is the, this is the one. Here is the type of debt that Americans 40 and younger, millennials and Gen Z, are carrying. The primary types of debt are mortgages. Okay, so we've got 244 to 308,000 mortgage debt, and then HELOC, which is a home equity loan. Now that's what we all did, right? I mean, you've got to remember, you've got to add 10 years to young people. Like I was married at 18. Most young people are not getting married until 28. They're not buying their first home until 38. So, when they talk about being able to afford a home and it taking longer to afford a home, we've got to recognize that they're partying, they're staying in school longer, they're staying with their parents till age 26, most of them. That's why Obama, in Obamacare, kept, the age 26 for parents' insurance. So having debt of this type at age 40 and under, not unusual. All right, so mortgage and HELOC, auto loan, 20 to 24,000. I didn't carry that kind of debt until my kids were teenagers, so well into my 40s. But remembering, I got married as a teenager. Personal loans, $8,000 to $16,000. Student loans, again, $21,000 to $38,000. It's like 10% of their mortgage in student loans, and then credit card debt, $3,500 to $6,500. I also asked what percentage of workers or young adults make minimum wage, and it's 1% of young adults make minimum wage, and here it is. I mean, fewer than 0.7% make minimum wage a year, 35 to 44. 1.2%, 25 to 34. 2.3%, 20 to 24, which is about right, we would figure, and 16 to 19, which minimum age was made for. So it's not even a factor, minimum wage. It's bullshit when they talk about stuff like that. And then I wanted to know how many young people were on disability. So it says about 1 to 2% of Americans age 40 and younger receive federal disability. But it also says, while broader health surveys like those from the CDC estimate that roughly 16% of adults aged 18 to 44 live with some sort of disability, only 1 to 2% are living on disability. So, these are facts about what's actually going on in the world right now. But the doomsday messengers on this Socialist Party are trying to tweak the facts to tell young people that they should be owning a home in their 20s. That's bullshit, because your parents owned the home in their 20s. Well, your parents got married when they were 18 and 19 and 20 years old, and then they started raising a family. And usually they lived with their parents to save money, and then they moved out. It doesn't work that way now. Things are much, much different. And our parents didn't buy $6 lattes or $100 sneakers or go do DoorDash, spend thousands of dollars a month on DoorDash, or have Amazon, or have the ability to, order anything that they want and get it in an hour. Different lifestyle. But they're trying to project the benefits of owning a home and parents being able to, or older people, married couples with children, being able to buy a home back in the 80s, to equate that with people in their 20s today. That's not reasonable. It's ridiculous. That would be like, us trying, I don't even know what it would be like to equate it. I mean, we did better than our parents because a lot of things changed. We had savings account. We had the ability to deduct credit card interest and other interest out of our income tax checks. But there's what's not to say that our kids are not going to do better. The difference is our parents, maybe they died earlier, they left us some money, but it might not have been a lot of money. Our generation, when I say we, the boomers, we're worth more than the greatest generation was. So when we die, we leave a bundle to our kids. and we have less kids, fewer kids. Our parents had 5 and 6, some 12. Now, the boomers had 2, 4, and then Gen X had 1, 2, maybe. And now the Z's, millennials and Z's, they're not even having kids. That was his God, not our God. There are 2 apparently. Oh, yeah. We're talking about El Sayed. Okay, so what I wanted to get at here is they're making a false comparison, and the young kids are buying it because it's being sold to them. It's being wrapped in a great package, and it's being sold to them by people who look good, smile a lot, go to the gym, and who know how to use the same communication devices that they do. I think it's up to us to keep things honest. Young kids don't have a problem with being insured. Okay, 30 something, they don't have a problem with it. They mostly all went to college, and a good majority, right? 60%, I think, of millennials, and I think it's 50% of Gen X. And Z's, I think it's even higher. Attend college. Wasn't that high for boomers. They come out of work able to earn more if they study correctly. To try to say that corporations are the problem, I would say no, we need to change this conversation. The problem are the colleges and the student loans. And if Republicans start talking about the student loans and the fact that colleges are not preparing them for work, we might be able to grab these young people back. We need to call bullshit on El Sayed and the Democrat Socialists of America, and we need to start spewing facts, real facts. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to decode him. He's talking about stuff that when older people hear, oh, we need health care for everybody, or people with families, health care, it's a big thing for them. Even though that, under 40, that's when you're in your prime of your life. You're generally not seeing a doctor regularly at that time. So why is it so important when they rarely go to the doctor? Because they've heard it a million times. It's a buzzword in politics, and so it's so important. It's like the right to choose, or lower taxes. We need to adjust our messaging, and the Republicans have been talking about lowering taxes for forever, and we should, and we have to, and I think Trump is doing it. But what the Republicans need to do is start talking to these kids about their student loan debt and the fact that these colleges are letting them down because they're not graduating into a career where they make money. They're not being prepared for adulting. They're being prepared to party and to have expectations that they should just get shit. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. I don't know. You guys have been silent. I hope it's not because I've been talking too much. Are they saying Medicare for all will be free? It isn't now. Yes, they are saying Medicare for all will be free. And I don't understand how they think that that's going to happen. They're saying the government will pay for Medicare for all, and we will not be allowed to have private insurance. But how could that possibly be? Because the only way that would happen is if we're not a free enterprise, because the rich will always have whatever they want. They'll always be able to pay, right? The people with money will be able to get what they want. They always do. It doesn't matter what country you're in. If you have cash, you're going to get what you need. So if you're going to put us all onto a subpar medical situation like Canada or like Italy and other places where, you wait. Now, Canada is actually offering people to off themselves because they can't keep up with the illness. Yeah, that's what they're saying, Karen. Free medical insurance. Because Obamacare, which was supposed to solve all of the issues, didn't solve a damn thing. Just complicated everything, made the insurance companies rich, and it, became a big headache for employers. We need less government, not more. They think that the answer to the problems is more government. The answer to the problems is making sure that the education people are getting is truthful education and that their expectations are real. That if they're going to school for a certain thing, that there will be a job waiting for them on the other side. Women's studies should not be offered in college because it doesn't make any fucking sense. What career in women's studies are you going to have? Basket weaving. What kind of bullshit? If you ever look at a college, admissions, book with all the courses that they offer, you'd say, well, what the hell's going on here? And for that, they get to have student loan debt of between $20,000 and $30,000, which they have to pay interest on. People from Canada come to Michigan for care now. Yeah. But the left likes to point to, oh, look at Canada. Oh, look at Sweden. Oh, look at this. Their healthcare system is not good. And we have plenty of people from those types of countries that offer free healthcare coming to New York and even South Carolina and all other places for medical treatment. So El Sayed is full of shit. Like most of the Democrats are full of shit. But they're saying stuff, they're using buzzwords, and they're acting very convincing. So it's up to us to call them out on their bullshit. So next time somebody says to you that, oh, they're going to give you free Medicare for all, you should have Medicare for all, tell them no. Absolutely no. Why would anybody need that? Especially young people. Young people aren't the sick ones. And once you're 65, you already get Medicare. And it's not free. You've paid for it. And in between, there's health insurance. And if we could get rid of Obamacare, it would be affordable again. But let's put the onus back where it belongs. If these young people are unhappy, they have to look at their colleges and blame the colleges. If they're strapped with debt coming out of college, it's because of the colleges. Simple as that. They're not ready for work, it's because of their college. Stop blaming government for all the problems. Because if the government can cause the problems, then how can the government take them away? Why wouldn't they have taken it away? If they had the ability and the know-how, why do we have those problems in the first place? Because it doesn't have to do with the government. It has to do with stupid people believing stupid shit. All right, way over again. Thank you for joining me tonight. I will see you again tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk about something else other than socialism. Anybody have any ideas, anything that they want me to look into for them? I'm happy to do it. A lot going on. I don't know if you all had heard. We announced it yesterday. Me, Kevin, and Maisie talked about it yesterday. Trump, and yet another attempt on his life. Really crazy stuff. My husband, said, how come nobody attempted, on other people's lives? And, as I said, well, because Republicans don't, try to off their political enemies. That we leave that to the lefties. All right, love you all. I will see you tomorrow night.